Bitcoin is an invention whose time has come, right? This is an invention that has been created, but that we needed yesterday. And I think one of the biggest things I see is that I don't understand how people are still blaming high prices on any factor other than the debasement of our money. The fact that our dollars are becoming worthless every day, every year, as more dollars enter the system, right? I truly don't understand how people aren't registering the fact that prices are going up because the dollars are less valuable than they were a year ago because so many more have been created. Like, it should be such a simple part of our collective knowledge, and it's not for whatever reason. And Bitcoin education is vitally important right now because without it, people just accept that dollars are money without thinking about what is money, what makes sound money, and why is now the time for a new monetary system that is fair, decentralized, peer-to-peer, and the units, the currency holds its value over time because no one can dilute the supply of it. So yeah, I don't understand it. How can we blame high prices on other factors other than printing money, printing more dollars into the system? I don't understand how it's not just common knowledge that, it's like people somewhat understand the concept of inflation, but they don't register it. They don't apply that knowledge to current events and why things are happening. I think if people truly understood money, what money is and how our money is broken, then they would connect the dots and realize that so many of these problems that people blame on other factors are attributed to broken money. When we have broken money as a society, so many things collapse. And right now, I want you to go to this website. It's called WTF Happened in 1971 .com, I think, or something else. But on that website, you'll see that every measurable statistic of life has gotten worse since the United States left the gold standard in 1971. And in 1971, when Richard Nixon put in an executive order saying dollars are no longer redeemable for gold, then that's when the US dollar became a fiat currency. And the word fiat is a Latin word basically meaning let it be done. So basically, the Federal Reserve says, snap, let it be done, and more dollars enter the system, right? It doesn't create work, it doesn't create energy, it doesn't create any resources. You don't have to expend any resources to create more dollars. Basically, they just type a number in a database and more dollars enter the system, making your savings less valuable. The savings you've worked so hard to accumulate, you've worked so hard to save for your future, to try to plan ahead, plan for the future, and it's gone. That purchasing power is stolen from you without your consent. But with Bitcoin, it's a new monetary system, right? Don't think of Bitcoin as something that you're buying in hopes that the price is going to go up. Buy Bitcoin as a symbol of entering a new monetary network that works for everyone, a new monetary network that is governed by rules and not by rulers. We can simply opt out of this broken monetary network by adopting a new one and by researching that new system and realizing that it has all the sound monetary properties that our current monetary network does not have. So opt out of monetary debasement, opt out of this broken system by adopting Bitcoin as a savings technology in your life. By buying Bitcoin, you are buying a finite piece of this superior monetary system that you will always own that piece, right? If you own one Bitcoin out of 21 million Bitcoin that will ever exist, you forever own a fixed piece of the monetary network, right? When else can you say that you can own a percentage of the money in the world and own that percentage forever, right? Being a millionaire in dollar terms and fiat terms is really quite meaningless, because every year the standard to become a millionaire goes down, right? It becomes easier and easier to become a millionaire as the dollars become more worthless. But being a full Bitcoiner, like, that is a true accomplishment, and that will become more meaningful into the future, because as more and more people adopt this technology, as more people buy Bitcoin, as the supply becomes scarcer and scarcer, then owning one Bitcoin will be more meaningful in the future. And that's the power of a monetary system with a deflationary supply and with unchanging rules that aren't subject to policy changes in the government. Bitcoin is neutral money that works for everyone who's involved with it, and it works on natural incentives, and you're incentivized with Bitcoin to participate in the network, to be a miner, be a node, validate transactions, mine blocks, and you're incentivized to take part in the network because everyone who's a part of it grows richer together. So the time for sound money is now, right? This is an invention whose time has come. It's about time we have a money that works for everyone, a money that you're able to safely store your time and energy. You're able to work for a period of time, and you're able to save in a money that is going to at least maintain its purchasing power into the future. And a lot of people say, oh, Bitcoin is too volatile. And yes, the volatility is high in this current time period, but that's not a problem with the asset itself. That's just a signal of an asset in its early adoption phase. The volatility is the price you pay in the short term for the opportunity to buy this asset before 99% of the world understands what it is at even a basic level. So that volatility represents opportunity in the short term. So if you can withstand that volatility in the short term, then you'll be rewarded as a long-term holder. And so no one has ever lost purchasing power by holding Bitcoin for a 4-year period. There's never a 4-year period where if you bought Bitcoin and held it for 4 years, that you would be down in purchasing power on that purchase. So Bitcoin rewards long-term holders more than it rewards short-term speculators on the price action. Because if you understand what you hold, then you'll be convicted to hold it for the long term, and you'll be rewarded for that conviction. It's impossible to address issues like wealth inequality and things like that without addressing the money itself, without addressing the fact that the money itself is broken. The money itself is controlled by central bankers. The money itself there's no cap on the supply. The supply will just keep growing infinitely, and we have no idea how many dollars there actually are out there. We have no idea the true scope of inflation. We're just sold this number, CPI inflation, which is just a handful of hand-picked goods, and that CPI can be, manipulated to make inflation look better than it actually is. For example, like the CPI, it used to contain steak as a measure of like how high prices are going, but then they switched it to ground beef. So it's this highly manipulated figure that is designed to make inflation look not as bad as it truly is. But we, as the consumers, we feel the effect of how bad inflation is. And those closest to the money printer, those closest to the creation of new money, they don't feel the effects. Those who own assets like real estate, valuable real estate, keeps going up in value forever because it's seen as an investment. It's seen as a store of value because the money itself doesn't work as a store of value. The money itself is broken and allows for the holders of the money to have their purchasing power siphoned and stolen through money printing. So let's keep the conversation going. Let's keep the conversation going about inflation, what monetary debasement is, and how Bitcoin is a new monetary network that doesn't have the same problems that we experience today. So if you enjoyed this type of content, leave a like, subscribe, or if you didn't like, leave a dislike. That helps out the channel a ton. As always, together, let's work, save, and build a better future with Bitcoin. See you in the next video.